So obviously, Bitcoin SV is the real one. I mean, the name is Satoshi's vision. With that name, how can you not be legit?
Well, I'm still running Bitcoin ABC node, obviously. Even though full nodes don't matter, I'm still running one.
So wait, how many nodes are there? Bitcoin Unlimited, Bitcoin ABC, Bitcoin SV,
Bitcoin XT.
Bitcoin XT.
Yeah, there's one of each.
Yeah, I mean, like as far as I'm concerned, Bitcoin United is the true Bitcoin.
Hey, does that still exist?
Well, I mean, it says United on the cover, so it unites all of the different Bitcoins.
So we're all supporting different clients here?
Nodes don't matter, so who cares? Are you a miner?
That's true. No, I'm not. So doesn't matter.
So it doesn't matter what we run.
All right.
I'm running Litecoin. I don't know about you.
Oh yes, the Bitcoin LTC client.
Yeah, exactly. Bitcoin Lite.
Okay, let's start the show.
Magical crypto. The best thing to do is simply to hodl. What's a young pony to do in a sea of shady ICOs? A lion's courage can light up even the darkness of shadows. Unlike the corporate suits, the whale panda is wise. A chicken dreams about the moon while soaring in the skies. As Bitcoin sees new all-time highs. Magical crypto. All around me I see big blockheads. Magical crypto. The best thing to do is simply to hodl. We'll always buy the dip, and we'll always be the best of the rest.
So with us, we still have today Charlie Lee, creator of Bitcoin Lite. Samson Mao, who was late again, even though he claims he wasn't. See, like I told you. And Ricardo, who was very late today, and he had technical issues. I guess with the Monero and Enterprise Alliance doesn't pay enough to buy him to get proper gear.
The problem was the name change. Now that I'm known as Ricarod and Saskia Spagni, it's become very difficult for me to order things through PayPal.
I cannot even pronounce it. And me, well, Panda. So let's start off with the topic that's been in the news the most lately, and that's Bitmain's IPO.
You mean the topic that's been in the news a month ago, right?
Well, it's still in the news now.
And when you say in the news, what you mean is in Samson's Twitter feed.
Yeah, exactly. That's the news.
Which is now the news.
Of a month ago.
Where do you think the news comes from?
Samson's Twitter feed.
Yeah.
So you're also the BTC King 55 or 555 guy?
That's not me, but I know I have a good idea who it is.
Okay.
It's Jihad, isn't it?
So about the Bitmain IPO, they did the pre-IPO valuated at how much? 14 billion or something. And they were planning to do an IPO now in the Q3 or Q4. And when they released the figures, they were mostly noticed that they went full Bcash. So they went from they dumped most of their BTC and they bought a lot of Bcash.
Yep.
They own like around 1 million now, I believe. So they released the figures of the first quarter, and they didn't for the second quarter, or at least not. They didn't disclose it to their pre-IPO investors, which was a terrible quarter for them. But I guess Samson can go in a bit more detail on that.
So there was an article out from Caijing, and they said that they saw Bitmain's Q2 numbers, and it did look like a loss, but I didn't get to see them yet. But it does not look good for them, because you should never go full BCH. Like, you know, they really went all in. Like, the definition of all in Wikipedia should be like Bitmain.
It's such an odd move, though. I mean, like, you know, why even bother? You know, why not just keep the stash that you know is worth more and just roll with that? And like, you can still mine BCH, but I don't get the move that they were trying to make. I mean, were they just trying to uphold the price?
It's not even that it's worth more, or you think BCH will be worth more. The problem is they moved from a highly liquid asset to something that's highly liquid. And it means that they can't sell it without crashing the price. So it's really dumb. It's like selling gold and buying something and buying cars or something like that. It's like, It doesn't make any sense. Yeah, I don't get it either.
But if it did work, it would be like this massive payoff, right? Because you essentially clone Bitcoin, airdrop it, make people kind of care about it, and you prop up the price by buying it all up on the market, and you kind of give it value. Like they were even selling their miners, the S9s, for Bcash. So that's why I said like a few times before, basically Bcash is like pegged to the S9, but they're basically giving this thing with no value some value. And if they're able to convince IPO investors that this thing is valuable just by doing that, then that's like a massive exit scam, like that the world's never seen before.
I get that, but what I mean, like, you know, if I were trying to pull that off, then I would limit the amount of Bitcoin that I'm going to part with. I mean, you got all the BCH for free because it's airdropped to you. So then just say I'm limiting it to a quarter of my stash or whatever to prop the price. But I mean, they went way beyond that.
But that would not have propped up the price because nobody wants Bcash in the first place. So they have to buy up all the Bcash in order for it to keep that price. Like they maintained that 0.1 peg for, I don't know, 5-6 months. That's not cheap to do.
No, it's not. That's just crazy. And I kind of their only real hope now is for Bitcoin to pump and then hope that BCH pumps with it.
Well, yeah, obviously, you know that scams always pump harder than Bitcoin itself. That's why Monero pumped a couple of days ago.
Monero exit scam 2023 is fast approaching.
Well, no, but on a serious note, they were also selling their miners at a loss. So they had like a couple of new ships designed and they were all a failure. So now there are competitors who have more efficient machines, from what I understand. And they're selling their miners at loss, which also doesn't make much sense.
And the guy that made the S9 has started up a new company. It's called Bitoway, and they make the Shenma miner. And basically, they have like right now the most efficient one advertised and tested, like short-term test. So we have to see when it comes to market. But right now, it looks like they're in the lead.
Let me ask you guys something about Bitmain. So the fact that they went all into BCH, do you think that's good for Bitcoin or bad for Bitcoin?
Good.
I think it's great.
You've got a dominant player in the ASIC space who's basically bankrupting themselves. I can't see that being bad.
Well, I mean, they still have like let's say like $10 billion of money, right? So they can still prop up this fake Bitcoin for a long time.
They don't have 10 billion.
Do they have the money though?
Well, I mean, they can go IPO and they can raise a lot of money, like billions of dollars of money, right? So
if you IPO and your use of proceeds is propping up the BCH price, I don't think that you're going to have a lot of happy investors.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know how it works in Hong Kong, but I assume that there are also quite strict rules on all the shady stuff that Bitmain has been doing. So
yeah. And if they IPO, they can't really just do whatever they want, right? At that point, they're a public company and they're very accountable for what they're doing with their money. And they can't just spend money propping up or spamming the network or doing any of the other stuff, right?
Yeah. I mean, it was pretty dumb. They should have kept their Bitcoins.
Well, they were just following the vision.
Yeah, well, they started with Bcash. So I think like Jihan was so convinced that he was right, and he got a bit overconfident because they were like the dominant player. So I guess he was overconfident. They also invested in a lot of like crazy projects like yours. Who would invest in that? But it's $1 billion company.
I think, yeah, they started, Bitmain started the user activated hard fork last year, right? To kind of fight SegWit. And they must be pretty pissed that Craig Wright is trying to steal Bcash away from them.
It's karma. It's called karma.
Well, I guess they asked for it, right?
And karma's a BCH.
You know, I was just thinking about like, if you wanted to start a company and you wanted to get funding for it, then the trick is to just go BCH, get funding from them, and then just pivot to Bitcoin support later on.
Actually, an interesting thing is that the new client, Bitcoin SV, Satoshi's Vision, like Craig Wright completely stole the whole like Satoshi Vision brand from Roger, which is actually quite amusing.
It's poetic.
Is Roger and Craig Wright on different sides of Bcash now? Like, do we know?
Well, probably, because he's been speaking out against CoinGeek and Calvin Ayre, and then Roger tweeted something about patents, and then Craig Wright blocked him because you know how that goes.
I'll go talk to Roger on the cruise and ask him.
Yeah, because I mean, we could have gotten Samson to chat to Roger, but unfortunately, Samson's too scared. Why didn't you just debate him?
That's exactly right.
Why did you just debate?
I was so scared.
I mean, he's just a friendly guy who wants to have a friendly debate. What's wrong with that?
Well, do you want the real answer or the joke answer?
The real answer is Samson quit.
At least I didn't sell at the all-time high. But the real reason is you can't debate Roger. Like, he probably thinks he's some mastermind in debating, but the way he does things is just, it's impossible to debate him because he starts with a loaded statement like, you are keeping blocks small and killing babies and preventing Bitcoin from being adopted. So there's like three things in one sentence that are accusatory and not true. So at which point do you stop? Do you start with, no, we didn't keep blocks small, or do you start with the we didn't kill babies? It's like, tough decision.
It was an interesting video. Like, it was completely set up, obviously, because they were recording it. Roger was smirking before, and yeah, it was definitely planned. No, but I heard from other people that they tried to do the same thing to someone else a couple of days before, that they tried to come in with the film crew, and immediately Roger was accusatory, as you put it, trying to get people to debate him. But if you read RBTC, they think that he's a world-class debater, so it has to be true.
The funny thing is they actually thought that video made him look good.
Yeah, I know. That makes no sense.
So are you saying that RBTC thinks he's a mass debater?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Actually, Blockstream gave me this cool toy. So you know how Jihan has been saying that Craig Wright is a Blockstream spy? Well, actually, it turns out that Roger Ver is also a Blockstream spy. So they've given this, and it controls Roger. So the A is for babies are dying, and the B is for debate me. And when I was talking to Samson, the button got stuck on debate me. So I'm sorry, Samson. It got annoying, so he ran away.
Walked away.
Walked away
very quickly.
It's okay. I forgive you. If you've ever been in a room with Roger, you'd be walking away fast too.
I've been in rooms with him plenty of times. I've never walked away.
He's never tried to debate you.
I'm not into mass debaters.
And now we'll show you the video of Samson running away.
Walking away.
All right. Do you have time later today or tomorrow? I'll make time. I can come to you.
I'm not interested to discuss with you.
Why are you not interested to discuss with me, Samson?
I told you the reasons already, and this is exactly
Can you say it one more time on camera so I can...
Your
My
facts
questions
are highly questionable,
Can
and
you-
I'm saying it very politely.
Okay.
And you ask the same questions all the time, and they're loaded questions.
His ideas, and if you think I'm wrong, tell
I
me.
just don't want to be
why
on
you
camera
think I'm
with you. You can take that however you like. Okay, thanks, Tom.
Is that personal or
No, it's just, I don't want to give them airtime. Thanks a lot.
just one more question?
wrong. If you'd like to at some further time, I'd be willing to make myself available.
Why don't you go hound Charlie on the cruise?
I'm looking forward to talking with Charlie, and I bet you will. Charlie's a nice guy too.
So when this comes out, Charlie will already have been on a cruise with Roger. So maybe we'll see some more videos in the meantime of Charlie running away, because he insisted that he wants to debate you.
Because Charlie's a nice guy.
I'm not like Samson. I don't quit. Yeah, Samson's like, you should find him on a cruise. I'm like, what?
Well, Giacomo's there. It's probably better to put Giacomo against Roger. That would be fun.
At this point, I don't think many people want to engage with him because he's really desperate for attention. If you look at like everything he's doing, he's like chasing after people to talk to him so he can make videos.
So, Whale Panda, what's X and Y?
Why is asking why? That's another question. That's another debate.
As in,
and
why
X,
won't you debate me?
Yeah, why won't you debate me? So the B is debate me, and Y is why don't you debate me? And X is I don't know what X is. Satoshi's vision, probably.
Exit the room.
Yeah.
I saw someone check his videos. You know how liars tend to close their eyes a lot? Well, you should check some of the videos. He's like a couple of seconds with his eyes closed, so that's this button.
Okay.
Just so I understand it, we're all Blockstream spies now. I'm just losing track of all the spies that I'm working with.
No, you're the handler.
Everybody is a Blockstream spy.
Je suis Blockstream spy.
I don't know if you saw, but like Jihan was accusing Craig Wright of being a Blockstream spy.
That was weird.
That
was weird.
Craig also accused Jihan of being a Blockstream spy. So it's just like spies all around.
No, that was actually very funny. Like in the CoinGeek article, he said like, Jihan was even funded, or no, they funded ABC, and they were helping Blockstream or Bitcoin Core. I don't remember how he put it. It all didn't make any sense. I mean, I understand that there are a lot of crazy people in Bitcoin. It attracts kind of shady characters and and crazy conspiracy theories. I mean, just look at how many people recently have been saying that they're part of or are Satoshi. But this has really gone too far. I mean, come on. I forgot one thing. So if you push A and B, he turns into a sea lion.
Oh yeah, that reminds me. We got some good stuff out of this episode. So, like, we got some interesting memes. We've got the Verless. It's a cryptocurrency hat with built-in noise reduction from Coincilier. We've got that Sea Lion comic and the Ver Sea Lion. And what else do we have? And we have the elephant in the room. So we got some fun memes out of this thing.
Yeah, it was
at the very least.
It was worth it. You running away.
The problem with debating Roger is that he's like a broken record, right? He says the same thing over and over again about like Bitcoin Cash is Bitcoin, and that fees last year were $50, and it's because Bitcoin Core we're celebrating that fees were high because we wanted the fees to be high and wanted to destroy Bitcoin because we're working for Blockstream. I mean, it's all the same thing over and over again. So it's kind of boring to debate him.
Well, some of us do work for Blockstream.
Yeah, and some of them really do work for Blockstream.
Charlie, can you wear a Blockstream t-shirt when you're on the cruise?
I don't have a Blockstream t-shirt.
Oh.
Maybe I...
Oh.
Ooh. I mean, Blockstream spies should not have Blockstream t-shirts, right? I mean, otherwise, that would be a pretty dumb spy.
You're one of the good spies. The rest of the spies are too obvious.
I like this t-shirt that I'm wearing right now.
I think we've given them enough attention right now. So the next question, how do you deal with the bear market? So obviously we've been in the bear market for a while now, and most of us, I think all of us, have been through a couple of them. But the new people who stepped in late last year are getting frustrated, disheartened, so how do you deal with the bear market? Me as a trader, I try to get good entries in shitcoins and sell them higher. But it's also, as an investor, it's an interesting time because last year with the ICO craze, a lot of companies valued themselves very high, too high. And if you want to invest in a company, it's better when they have more realistic valuations. So if you're an angel investor or just an investor, it's a better time now to invest. And builders keep building, so that's how I deal with it. What about you guys?
I spend more time on Twitter.
Aren't you supposed to be building Tari?
Yes, we are. But that doesn't stop me from spending time on Twitter.
Tari is just a vaporware, so spending time on Twitter is building
Yeah,
Tari.
exactly, right?
Right.
Building a community.
When's your ICO, by the way?
There's no ICO. Why does everyone keep thinking that there's an ICO?
Because you need to do an ICO.
Well, I mean, Charlie's going to do a Litecoin ICO, so I'll just follow him with that.
That's a good idea.
Great idea.
Oh, then you can buy some LTC again. So how do you guys deal with the bear market? Or you just become immune to it? Or
Well, for me, I don't really care anymore. I've been through enough bear markets that you just need to wait it out. I think a lot of people that I speak to don't really care either. It's just like a good time to focus on building stuff and work, right? Like when the price is spiking and everyone's in a frenzy, it's kind of hard to concentrate. Like you're distracted, but now it's peaceful kind of. So we can take time to build stuff.
And if you really believe in cryptocurrency, right, then it's going to come back. It might just take some time, right? A year, half year, maybe 3 years. So like you just buy some more and average cost down and wait it out. As long as you're not spending money that you need for the next few years, then you'll be fine. That's how I see it.
Ricardo?
He just said what he thought.
Yeah. Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
he was talking about Tari.
He's busy on Twitter. Stop distracting him.
I think so Bruce Fenton pointed something out the other day that I think a lot of people don't realize, and that is like you shouldn't be spending your crypto to support your lifestyle. So it's one thing, as an example, like it's one thing to go and be like, well, I bought whatever Ripple at 2 cents and now it's 3 cents, and so I've made enough money to buy a Lambo. But then if you can't afford to pay the insurance every month, or you can't afford to like fill the tank with gas or petrol as we call it, then you're doing it wrong. If you need to sell crypto just to like support your lifestyle, then you are going to really struggle in an extended bear market. So like I fully support people that diversify into other asset classes, but if you are not able to then support that diversification and the costs that come with it, then you're doing it wrong.
That's just called living within your means.
Yep.
And what about the comment of people saying that, Bitcoin is not a store of value because it dropped from 20,000 to 6,000?
Last time I checked, 1 Bitcoin still equals 1 Bitcoin. It's a store of value for me.
Mm-hmm. It's a volatile store of value, and I think everyone knows that. It depends when you got in. If you got in at $500, it's a great store of value, right? But people that bought at 20K are probably freaked out, and they probably sold at some point. Well, not all of them, but a lot of them probably did, and they'll probably never touch crypto again.
It's funny, like people last year when Litecoin was $300, a lot of people were saying, "God, I wish it was 40. I could buy in more when it was at 40." And now it's at like whatever, or 60, right? Now it's at 60 and people are not buying. Like, I thought you said you wanted to be at 60. Why aren't you buying right now?
But that's just typical market behavior. People want to buy something that goes up in value, not something that goes down in value.
You have to invest or buy counter to the market if you want to win, right? If it's
Correct.
down, you buy it, right? If it's up and you buy it with everyone else's, it's going to keep going up, and you're going to buy in at the top.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen like 2 or 3 market cycles since I've been in this space for 7 years. I'm sure you guys have seen a lot too. It's just comes with the territory.
Yeah, and if you look at the USD value of a store of value, you should look at it on longer term, not like on 3 or 6 month basis, but like a couple of years. That for me is a store of value, not like something. I don't care about the fluctuations short term. I want to buy Lambo with 1 Bitcoin. I mean, is that too much to ask?
I think that, I mean, when it comes to what are the properties of a store of value? I mean, one of the properties of a store of value is that your store of value can't be confiscated, and that you are the bearer of that store of value. And Bitcoin has all these properties, and then when you dispose of the store of value, you can't be censored. You can send the funds you can send the value to someone else in an uncensorable fashion, and these are all important properties. Having the value stable relative to something else, I don't think is a necessary property. It might be a desirable property, but it's not a necessary property.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, next topic. So
Whoa. Time out.
What?
I want to show hats.
Okay, show us heads.
Okay. So we've got the Black Reckless hat that's now available. It was available 2 weeks ago on the Sealion store.
Can you also show us? You're showing...
Sorry, I'm showing the other camera.
Okay. I don't like the open back of the hat. I mean, I prefer it like normal cap.
Okay. So the black one is limited edition. It's the back in black edition that Adam Back specifically wanted. So I don't know. When these sell out, they're gone. But I have the white one, which is the proper one that I originally designed. And it's meant to be like a summer hat. That's why it's like the mesh on the back. And yeah, these ones I'll keep making. So these are not limited edition.
So the black hat is kind of like Bitcoin, and the white one is like Ethereum.
I like that. Well, no, I mean, Ethereum is limited now. It's limited to 2.77 Ethereum per block because 15 devs got on a call and decided that.
Actually, an interesting thing about that was, did you see the picture of Vitalik talking to Jihan like a couple of hours before that official announcement? You know, maybe he was like, what do we have to do? Maybe it was like an insider meeting. I don't know. Who knows? Crazy conspiracies.
You mean at the Bangkok meeting?
Yeah.
Did the miners have any say in that? I mean, I can't imagine the miners being happy about that at all, right?
There was a vote. So you could vote with Ethereum. And I saw it, and I think 100,000 Ethereum or 150,000 eventually voted out of the 100 million. So that's around 1%. Or?
1% of the people voted?
Oh, wait. 0.1%.
Well, I don't think the miners will have too much of a problem with it because that should technically boost the price, right? If the miners accumulated it in the past, then their holdings would go up.
Yeah, but can you imagine someone messing with the Bitcoin monetary policy? Like, let's change the block for more. Actually, if I remember correctly, some miners tried to keep it 50 BTC every block. With the first halving, and that didn't work out.
Yeah, but with Ethereum, you should expect it, right? That the rules are going to change out from under you. So why would they be surprised or upset?
But I mean, this isn't the first time they've changed the rules. They've changed the rules multiple times. The emission curve has never been set, which is...
That's what I said.
The whole thing, as I understand it, the reason the emission curve didn't matter and was never set in stone was because it's just gas and it's not a currency.
Yeah, of course, it's just gas. It's just to use the smart contracts on their platform. It's not a store of value, even though some people are now saying, because they changed it, it will become a store of value. And another thing is with this hard fork, they will be delaying again the difficulty bomb. So there has been talk about Litecoin being abandoned because there was no LTC GitHub activity. What's going on, Charlie?
But it's closed source, so the Litecoin team work in the central office on the closed source Litecoin stuff. What's the problem?
I've explained this quite a few times.
That's why we're doing it now on the show.
I guess we don't work on a master branch. So if you're just looking at the master branch, you won't see any commits because we haven't merged it in. So we work on different branches for different releases, and I think that's a better way of working with GitHub. So if people are like building from source, they won't be getting like your daily changes. So you just be getting the last stable release. That's how we roll.
Did you just call it GitHub?
Whatever.
It's GitHub.
Okay.
Look at my animated
Does it
GIFs
matter?
on GitHub.
Yeah. So we've been working on it. We've just released a release candidate for 0.16, and we're gonna release 0.16 soon, and release a 0.17 soon after that. So it's not like we're not working on it. But that said, it doesn't matter that much, like about if you're really working on the source. I mean, we're talking about like money here, right? Like, is anyone working on the U.S. dollar? Is anyone working on? I mean, and also we keep very close to Bitcoin, right? So we're just keeping track of all the Bitcoin changes and merging in from upstream. So I mean, just people are just creating FUD and trying to, I don't know, short it and create FUD. That happens all the time.
You could do what the Bcash devs do and just start renaming variables, and then it looks like you have some dev activity.
Yeah, and then you make a mistake and accidentally rename something wrong, and it causes a huge bug. I've seen that before. Let me try to think, like, which coin. Like, one coin made such a stupid decision that they just screwed themselves over by because they didn't understand the code that they were changing. Let me see if I can think of what it was they did.
Wasn't there was also a coin I remember in the mint poll days, so quite a while ago, that had like errors, and all the errors were like Litecoin. It said like restart your Litecoin client or something like that.
Yeah. Speaking of that, I remember something similar. I think it was Fettercoin forked from Litecoin, but they didn't change their the key for messages, right? For what is that called? I forget.
No, the alert key.
The alert key, correct. They didn't change the alert key, so they were using the Litecoin alert key. And then we upgraded, and then we basically sent out alerts saying we should upgrade because there was a nasty bug or something, right? You should upgrade to this release of Litecoin. And then someone took that message and relayed it to the Vercoin network. So all the Vercoin clients got an alert saying, you need to upgrade to Litecoin.
That's actually great, isn't it? That's like the best marketing you can get.
You need to upgrade your Vercoin client to Litecoin.
Well, and for Bitcoin now, all the alert keys are disabled. So there was some talk about it not that long ago. I think like 1 or 2 months ago, that it got officially published, the alert key. Because before that they asked around if some altcoins were still using the same alert keys, which wasn't the case anymore. Or maybe those altcoins are too small now. Actually, talking about LTC, are Mast, Schnorr, Taproot, and other soft fork upgrades coming to Litecoin first, like Segwit did? Any possible timeline?
Possibly. I mean, when they're ready for like production, and we can move a bit faster than Bitcoin, but I mean, we'll see, right? One thing I'm most excited about is something like confidential transactions, which would help with privacy and fungibility. And then if we have confidential transactions, no one needs to buy Monero anymore.
You're gonna put Ricardo out of business.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think, I mean, what you held that poll. I mean, what is the outcome of that poll on Twitter?
It was, so I asked what people thought about if Litecoin were to add more fungibility, what's the best solution? One was confidential transaction, one was Mimblewimble, and then ZK Snarks and ZK Starks. And then also the fourth answer was just don't do anything, don't add privacy. And I think the winner was confidential transaction. So I think confidential transaction is like the easiest way to do it, but it's also it only hides the balances, right? It doesn't do more than that.
But confidential transactions, when combined with Lightning, gives you extremely strong privacy.
Sure, and Lightning by itself is really pretty good already.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it definitely already adds a lot of privacy. So it's actually really cool that Lightning does privacy, also does like cheap transactions, and also fast, right? So it's like a win-win-win.
Actually, talking about privacy, are you guys not worried that some exchanges or like some regulatory organs are gonna try to shut down also Bitcoin once they start or Litecoin when they start implementing privacy features like confidential transactions? I mean, Monero is already screwed. So are you not scared of more regulations when it comes to that?
It is. So like I think I've said that many times. I think fungibility and privacy is one of the main features of sound money that's missing from Bitcoin and Litecoin. So I think eventually we'll move towards that direction. But then there's always this like, what if regulation don't like it, and then what if exchanges start delisting it? Then it hurts the coin if it's not liquid or not able to move into or out of fiat. So so I think adding privacy will be controversial, and potentially Litecoin can make the first move and see how the market reacts. Help test the water out for Bitcoin.
Look, I think at the end of the day, we've got to ask ourselves, like what do we value more? Do we value having access to Bitcoin on thousands of exchanges, or do we value sound money?
I think we value sound money. I think it's inevitable. I think even for Bitcoin, it is going to have CT or CA in it eventually. It's just a matter of time. And if everyone is worried that an exchange will delist it, I think you're worrying about the wrong thing.
Yeah, that's true. It was interesting to see Zcash being added to, I believe, it was Gemini? Gemini. But then again, no one uses the Z addresses. Although the long-term plan for them is to use the privacy option to make it like default. So that will be interesting. Because at the moment, the only people. So if you mine Zcash, you receive it in a Z address, and that's only confidential, not confidential transactions, but like only shielded transactions that are happening on the network. And that's just the miner payouts. That's basically it. So when they're going to do it by default, it will be interesting to see what exchanges like Gemini will do, if they will accept it or not.
Mm-hmm. But if you're in this, like in Bitcoin or whatever, to change the world, I think the last thing you should be worrying about is whether your coin is going to be listed or not listed, right? If that was the purpose, to get listed on exchanges, I don't think we'd have Bitcoin invented in the first place. It is supposed to be disruptive.
It's true, but it kind of, if like governments all come together and say like Bitcoin, like fight against Bitcoin and prevent it from being listed on all the exchanges, it'll be a harder battle for it to reach like mass adoption, right? So true, yes and no, right? So you still kind of have to work with regulators a bit. You don't want to go all like crypto anarchy and screw the banks, screw the governments and everything.
Well, yeah, of course, because you bought a bank, so you cannot say that.
But I think we're past the point. Like, I don't think that Bitcoin can be delisted. It's just too big, and there's just too much demand. Like, ultimately, if you're living in a democracy and you want something, people can fight for something, right? They can fight for having something exist or to prevent something from being blocked, right? But if you live in a totalitarian state, then yeah, you're SOL.
Well, you live in Canada, so it's pretty bad over there, I heard.
We do okay. But back to the other point, like for Litecoin, I think, Charlie, if you do want to implement privacy tech, I think go with CT. It's probably the most tested, and it already exists in Liquid. And if you want, you can actually unblind a transaction. There's a blinding key that you can release to unblind a transaction.
Yeah, so like a view key, right? Similar to Monero.
So it's the best of both worlds, I think.
It's also a soft fork. So thanks to SegWit, confidential transaction upgrade is a soft fork. So it should be pretty easy to add it, technically. Like Samson said, it's in Liquid. Confidential assets also pretty cool. So CA.
Yep.
Yeah.
The one nice thing as well is you don't lose your scalability benefits that you already have with Bitcoin. You still have the UTXO set, and you don't have issues with determining which TXOs are spent or not spent.
Okay, so something else Charlie asked to talk about was Mimble, Wimble, and Grin. Since I don't know that much about it, I'll let you do the talking.
Yeah, just wanted to. I guess a lot of people haven't really heard much about Mimble, Wimble, and Grin. It seems like a very cool,
Drin.
like. Fluffy Pony, have you heard much about Grin and Mimblewimble?
I am familiar with the concepts.
Yeah. So it's like it really changes everything around. Kind of, it's still a blockchain, but transactions get combined into one big transaction, and so you kind of hide the who's sending money to who for that one for each block, right? So you actually gain a lot of privacy because it's one big transaction of inputs and outputs, and you can't connect them. And then also you gain scalability because then all the transactions you can throw away a lot of extra data. So instead of 1,000 transactions in a block, it's one big transaction. So it's actually pretty cool.
Yeah, so it's like you get these massive scalability gains, even over Bitcoin, but and then the privacy gains as well. But the one downside is that the privacy is it's not absolute. So like once stuff is represented on chain, then it's very difficult to determine things. But during that broadcast phase, you can listen to transactions and aggregate them yourself and sort of store that data if you're nefarious.
I would say maybe something like Denline can help a lot, right? Which is something that we're looking, or not me personally, but people are working on adding it to Bitcoin, where transactions are kind of broadcasted, or not, they're not always broadcasted, they're sent to another recipient and then sent to another recipient, and then randomly at one point you broadcast it. So it looks kind of like a Denline. And doing it that way gives you more privacy because then it's harder for someone who's just listening with thousands of nodes to try to figure out where this transaction came from.
Also with Mimblewimble, I think the blockchain can be compressed to like megabytes, right? So you can have a lot of space savings. You can run it on a mobile device more easily. It has some serious gains, but the problem is that no one can really switch to Mimblewimble because they'd have to essentially airdrop it to their existing users and change and hard fork over.
It's
right?
too different. You can't just sort of soft fork
Yeah,
over to it.
and that's why they're working on this project Grin, right? And I really like the fact that they're focused on just the technical aspect of it. They agree that they're not going to do an ICO. They're not trying to make money from it. They're going to launch it as fairly as possible. So I really kind of respect that.
There's one downside there is so they're using Cuckoo Cycle as the proof of work algorithm, which is something I'm a big fan of. But it appears from some conversations that I've had that there are secret ASICs ready to mine at launch, and I think that what they might do is just they're going to have to tweak that algorithm just before launch.
Secret ASICs ready to mine? How is that profitable for anyone?
Well, I mean, I think that there's, if you take an organization like Bitmain as an example, they have enough money that they can afford to produce an ASIC on the assumption that this is going to be worth something.
But isn't like Cuckoo Cycle supposed to be ASIC resistant or ASIC like it's really hard because of, or really expensive to create these ASICs?
Yeah, but so was Ethereum supposed to be really expensive to create ASICs. I mean, it is, but it's it's not that it isn't expensive. It's just that if you've got several $1 billion in the bank, you can take 20 million, do a tape out, mine some coins at launch, and especially when the distribution is at its maximal point, and then just shelve it for later.
Or sell it for Bcash.
Or sell it for Bcash.
That's a winning strategy.
That's a smarter play than using your money to buy Bcash.
Well, you have to wonder what kind of ASICs they have up their sleeves. So, any more news on ASICs on Monero? You eradicated them, but do you expect new ones to come out, or?
Oh yeah, that reminds me. A bunch of that Bitmain inventory is probably bricked Monero ASICs. Good job.
Well, they're mining Monero V, right?
Yeah, there we go, because that's worked out so well for them. No, I don't. I mean, they're we're tweaking the algorithm. Well, when I say we, I mean the developers are. I haven't even looked at the at the tweaks, but it's busy undergoing review now. The hard fork's coming up in October, and I mean, it's probably not even necessary because I don't think there's any manufacturer that's trying to push something out for Monero's current algorithm. But it just seems to be, I think it seems to be a good preemptive move to continue to push back against ASICs until such time as they are commoditized and there's an algorithm we can switch to which is more fairly accessible for the smaller miner.
So our last topic before we get to the questions from our fans is Lightning Hacking Day. So last weekend, which means like 3 weekends ago, there was Lightning Hacking Day in Berlin. So a lot of developers who were interested in Lightning came there and built some cool stuff. There was even some posts on our Bitcoin that the scaling debate is over and stuff like that. You know how people tend to get overly confident and overly positive. But some cool stuff came out of it. I think Ricardo has some more information about it.
Yeah, so we had 2 Globy developers that went there, and one of the projects that they built was, and that they demonstrated was a just a toy candy dispenser that was hooked up to Globy, and you can pay using Bitcoin or Monero or Litecoin or Lightning. And when you paid with Lightning, then it would dispense some candy. And I think it was it's a good demonstration of, because the app was so small and easy, it was a good demonstration of how people can build Lightning apps without needing to run a Lightning node themselves, without needing to do any of that. They can just offload all of that responsibility to an external service provider, and it's it's super easy for them. And obviously that's dependent on your use case. That might not be optimal. That might not be a security model that you're comfortable with. But I think for a candy dispenser, it's pretty okay.
That's a pretty reckless candy dispenser you got there.
Yeah, and the candy was also unfairly cheap, so it's one of those things.
Well, I think it's really good that we have these like Lightning hack days, like building stuff on layer 2 and doing fun stuff like that, versus things like Ethereum that are like building on essentially their main chain and sticking code into their blockchain that could brick wallets or whatever, right? It's much more pragmatic this way.
It's how it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
One thing that was interesting, just looking at my notes, so Gustav, one of the devs, was saying that there was a presentation on incentivizing channels where people can be incentivized to open channels with certain peers, and if they open a channel, then they can earn very small amounts of interest on the money that they lock up in the channel. So there's lots of really interesting stuff coming on, building on the Lightning incentive model, which I think will make things a lot more practical and a lot easier from a user perspective.
Okay, on to the questions from the fans. Do you see centralized cryptocurrencies as a threat which serves the agenda of greedy global elites? Also, how can we protect BTC to survive an upcoming wave of attractive national cryptocurrencies by central banks? I guess we have a perfect example with the Petro. So how do you guys see that? Do you see it as a threat, the centralized cryptocurrencies? Is Ripple a threat?
I don't think centralized cryptocurrencies will really succeed, so I don't see how that is a threat.
Yeah. I think what he's getting into is, I think that's Vlad, but he's getting into like, what if some really rich group like the Bilderberg makes a cryptocurrency for their own purposes? And that's just like, to me, I think that's the same as a central bank cryptocurrency, right? Like you cannot use it, or it might have some utility because it could be, the Fed issuing a USDT, and that could be useful too, but it's just an option. You can just use Bitcoin and go into it when you need to use that national cryptocurrency. I think there are some gains to having a national cryptocurrency too, despite what some people may think, because if they are issuing it, then they would have to be more accountable if it's done with the blockchain, right? People should be able to validate the amount issued, and you should be able to see inflation and everything like that. Otherwise, there's no point. If no one can validate it, then you might as well just use a database. But if they're using a blockchain and doing a cryptocurrency, then it should be one, portable, and two, validatable.
And a last question, a fun one to end. If you're stuck on a deserted island with one person out of the following, who would it be?
Island.
So if the island's made out of desserts, I mean, that's my kind of island. I'm not complaining. As long as we have access
make fun of the only guy whose mother tongue isn't English. Yeah, nice.
We love
you. Yeah. Okay, so Roger Ver, Craig Wright, or Karpelus? Mark Karpelus.
Karpelus.
Yeah, I mean, Mark did his time, right? He's gone and slaved it out in the salt mines, and I guess we could hang out and talk about lattes and cats.
Yeah, I guess I would go for Mark as well. Also, he has like samurai skills, no? I saw him in a couple of pictures with the samurai sword, so might come in handy. I don't know what the other skills he has.
Which of course, samurai skills are really helpful on a desert island because then he can cut the cake up.
I didn't say this. I said deserted. I just have something in my throat.
Deserted. I think Roger might be okay too. He won't be telling me Bitcoin Cash is Bitcoin if we're stranded on the desert island. So
I don't know, man. I don't know about that one.
Well, if he turns into a sea lion, he can get help.
He can help me swim off the island. Yeah, that works. I like Mark. He's okay. I can't stand Craig Wright, so yeah, that's my choice.
Well,
Mark or Roger.
If you have to kill the person, maybe there's more meat on Craig Wright at this moment. Because Mark lost kind of a lot of weight, I think, in prison. So
that's dark.
That's dark. Okay, that's too dark.
Then I want Fluffy Pony on the island.
No, I think no. Out of the four, the three of you, I guess I would choose Ricardo as well, just because. Well, not to eat this time.
This is what I worry about. It's like, oh yes, he's got the most meat.
I like Whale Panda. I can play with a panda, and then I can ride him off the island when he's a whale.
I choose Whale Panda too.
You know that the theory is that if you're being hunted, you also have to be just faster than the other guy. So I guess I can outrun Ricardo.
But he's a pony.
Oh, that's true.
Why would we be hunted on the island made of pudding?
By a giant spoon trying to eat us.
Oh no, it wants the whipped cream.
Okay, this episode ended really messed up. I hope the start was fun.
Okay.
So, thanks for watching, and hopefully the next one will be better. Bye.
See you in 6 weeks. Bye.
See ya.
Bye.
Magical crypto. Magical crypto. Magical crypto will always be the best of the best.
Fluffy Pony, are you wearing a lion?
I am.
But that's Samson.
It's not an Excel lion. It's just a lion.
It's mind control.
Also, Samson and I are best friends.
It's like me wearing a panda t-shirt. That doesn't make any sense.
That can just mean that you're like his handler.
Yeah.
It's like a secret code.
It could have been worse. I could be wearing a sea lion.
Do you have any sea lion t-shirts? That would be funny.
I don't know. The closest I've got is a Narwhal t-shirt.
Well, I have worn a panda hat before.
Yeah, in Hong Kong. I remember.
I consider it cosplay. I'm dressing up as Samson. What's the big deal?